Hi, everybody. I'm meteorologist Joe Chaffee. I just had some dental work done, so if I'm sounding a little bit subdued and talking in a low tone is because the Novocaine is wearing off. I had chipped a tooth a couple of weeks ago, right before Christmas. I bit onto a bone fragment while eating a pork chop, so they got to put a crown in. Anyway, the Novocaine's wearing off, so I'm just a little bit sore and a slight bit of pain. But anyhow, we've got today's storm that's underway. We have a major storm that's going to be developing out of this, and it's going to impact New England. And right now, it's all rain for New Jersey, Long Island, southern Connecticut, even into the Hudson Valley. And you notice the back edge is moving right along. So, we're going to probably be into this for at least another few hours or so, and it'll start ending from west to east later this afternoon and probably ending this evening across Long Island and over Connecticut and up to the north. Of course, they're getting ready for their snows, and some lead snow is coming in now. The real intense snow is going to be in here, and that's not going to come back. That's not going to come in until later on tonight when the low explodes off the southern New England coast. So let's take a look first at what's happening in terms of, just so you have an idea of watches and warnings in the Northeast. So basically, most of Maine, New Hampshire, all of New Hampshire, Vermont, except the northwestern corner, and the western half of Massachusetts are under winter storm warnings. And if you look at the arc of the warnings here like this, okay, so just to show you, you see kind of how this all looks like an arc, all right, where they have the warning. So it actually makes a lot of sense because the low is going to be somewhere over here, and normally the snow falls, the heavy snow is going to be on the northwestern side of the low center. And if it's really intense, it forms what we call a comma head. And that's kind of what's going to be happening here, although I might have it extended down a little bit too far south. But I just wanted to illustrate the idea. Now, there are advisories up from Route 84 northward into New York State. I'm really kind of dubious with this Orange Putnam County advisory, and also the ones up in northeastern Pennsylvania. I think they're probably going to come down soon because even in those areas, it's going over to rain. So, let's show you what's happening here. I'm going to first take you, we'll switch to the NAM model because we have that, and the GFS a few more frames of the GFS might be able to come in while I'm yapping. And I just want to show you here what's going on, and we'll get close up because I think you need to see this up close, at least as far as the Northeast is concerned. So here you have the NAM. Let me back it up so we can get, there it is. Okay, so this is what's happened this morning. You can see how far north the rain snow line gets. I mean, it gets even as far north as southern Massachusetts. This wave didn't develop fast enough. If you think back a few days ago, it had the low developing down near Chesapeake Bay. If it had formed pretty fast, then that rain snow line maybe would have only gotten just north of the coastline instead of penetrating all the way up. But eventually, as that low intensifies, and you can see it here, you start to get this comma-shaped dark blue area, and that's where the heaviest snows are going to be. Vermont's going to get some snow, but I'm thinking the heaviest snow is going to be mostly in the eastern half of New Hampshire and into much of Maine. I think Maine's going to do really well with this. Not to say that the Vermont's not going to get a decent snowfall out of it. I just don't think it's going to be as extreme as it will be to the east because of where the low center tracks. So that moves on up to the northeast, and then we might even see a few flurries or a rain shower or something tomorrow, a little upper air disturbance. And then we got this warm front that tries to go by on weak warm front, weak cold front. It's really kind of a nondescript system. And then we start to wait to see what happens late Sunday night, Monday morning, as some moisture comes back up from the southwest. So let me widen out. This is going to be fun for me today. Somebody who has to talk for a living and do weathercasts. So this is good practice. I just hope the pain subsides by the time we get there. So anyway, here we go. This is the new NAM. So here's our storm in the east. That pulls out, and it kind of gets a little calm for the weekend. You've got this weather system moving across the lakes with a weak front and high pressure that builds in behind it. But there's not a whole lot of cold air. There might be, I think, enough low-level cold air, so we'll have to watch for the possibility of some freezing rain or drizzle here Sunday night into Monday morning in this area. Now notice there's another storm coming into the west, and you've got low pressure down in Texas, but there's another storm that's coming into the west, and that's bringing snows up to Wyoming, Idaho, back over to Montana, northern Nevada, and northern Utah. And that low eventually settles down into Colorado as kind of high builds around it and weakens. This low in the east goes to the lakes, and that's pretty much all we have so far of the GFS on this run. I'll go back one run so we can take a look at what it did. And you know, it took that low. It had a much deeper low, a little further to the left. So then after that goes by and an Arctic front passes through, it turns colder, and then you notice the system does come out of the Gulf and move off the East Coast for next weekend to the south, and then there's another one behind that, and you know, it's kind of this in and out pattern. And what I thought was really funny, if you look here at the end of the period at 300, which is at day 16, I don't, you know, that's, I guess it's some kind of subtropical system. I can't believe that that's going to be there, but I thought it was just kind of funny that we did see that. So let me just really quick show you the upper air, and then I think I'm going to stop because my tooth is hurting me. It's the back molar, by the way, all the way in the back. But okay, so here you have the upper air. I think I'll just go a little wider. It always works, so you can get the whole profile of what's happening. So, you know, the models are on course to develop this blocking next week, and you can see it here, how it kind of moves right across the pole. You know, one coming from the west, the other one coming from the east, and they build across the top. You get the vortex here, and that means, you know, cold air gradually spreads over the United States. And you also still have this pretty active southern Pacific flow with, you know, troughs that move along that particular system. Now, as we move through time, I think the big question is, and this is going to be really important, how this reacts in the longer term. You'll notice on that overnight run after day 12 or so, the ridge comes back in the east, and that's because the block here, the blocking that we have, kind of repositions itself a little bit, so it allows the vortex to actually migrate westward. Okay, so as a result, you get a trough down in the west, and a ridge builds into the east, and then you got a trough out in the Atlantic. Now, just because it shows this, we don't, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. I think again, the key is going to be, and you can see how the block, this is a great example of how, you know, all this talk about blocking, and if you don't have the blocking setting up in the right spots, or if you have the ridges in the wrong place, you know, it's not going to help you. And in this instance, if it were to look like this, you've got this blocking high that kind of migrates back over toward the, you know, toward 180 degrees, you know, 180 degrees west, and you know, your vortex now sort of migrates back northwestward. There's a weaker one in eastern Canada. You've got the block over Greenland, but the mean trough is pretty far to the west here. So, you know, that doesn't really bode too well for keeping it persistently cold here in the eastern part of the United States. And by the way, here you have whatever that is. If that's some kind of subtropical system, I don't know. But we're going to have to see how this plays out pattern-wise going forward. And in the meantime, you know, you can check out all the latest weather posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com, weatherlongisland.com, and nycweathernow.com. Download my app. That's free. Subscribe to my forecast for the New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Hudson Valley, Connecticut, and Eastern Pennsylvania areas for just 99 cents a month. And I really appreciate those of you who do, and I love all you guys on here on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's free. Doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps me with Google, and I really appreciate it. So have a great rest of your day. And I want my, you know, waiting for all this to heal.